Hello, everyone, and welcome to an all new episode of Wicked Unscripted, where we have unscripted conversations about some of the most popular reality shows on television. My name is Abigail Adams. I am your host for this podcast. Joining me today, as always, is the lovely Sarah Talks, and we're back to discuss all things Survivor, including some important news that we definitely want to catch up on. So, definitely a busy week for Survivor stuff, to say the least.
Mhm.
This episode, Sarah was telling me, is still making her cringe almost a full week later.
Something's going on. We'll get to it, but something's going on.
Yeah.
And yeah, then the survivor. Well, you go ahead with the news
Oh
because
yeah.
there's a
Well, so
lot.
the big news of it all is that we are getting finally a returnee season for season 50. Jeff announced it at the 4-year consideration event in Los Angeles this past weekend. I want to say it was Saturday night. It's not clear what format will be. Jesus, my wordies not coming out of.
Quarter quell, if you will, as the interwebs are calling them.
Oh my god, I know. So yes. So no idea what we're gonna get for a format yet. No idea who the players could be, what the criteria would even be, but a lot of people are speculating. I'm super excited to have all the ideas. So it'll be the first one that Sarah gets to watch with us too as a returnee season, which will be really fun.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm pretty pumped about it. I definitely don't have the capacity to watch every season, so know every person that's gone there, but I think I might wanna go into it blind because 'cause I'm sure that they're gonna have some returnees from the new era. There's gonna be quite a bit of those, but, like, as far as I kinda like that I'm not gonna know a lot of the like, if any of the veterans, and I can develop, like, first time opinions and then go back and watch their seasons after, so it's gonna be a fun perspective.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And then we also have to deliver the news that there has been a death in the Survivor community this week. Sonja Christopher, who was the first person to ever be voted off the show, has passed away at the age of 87. She was 63 at the time when she went on the show. She had been 3 years out of beating breast cancer. She was also a member of the LGBTQ plus community and was a musician. She was known for her little ukulele song that she played to Richard Hatch, Bye Bye Blues. Just very sad loss for the Survivor community. She was an absolute gem. So uh, rest in peace to Sonja for sure.
Yes, for sure. I actually knew of her, but I was very familiar with the first season. I remember when it came out, I watched it. I don't have very many memories of it. I don't have honestly any memories of her, but I know the name from the circles and it is very sad. You think like 46 seasons to have like the first that's really good. That's
No, that's not the first
actually
death.
huh?
She's not the first
No,
death.
I'm sorry. Death from the first like that's real like I mean 46 seasons. I know that and even like we did this recently with like Big Brother too. Like
Yep.
there's very few. There's very few like in the great all the people out of all the years, you know. So like
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm doing a short list right now for my Survivor returnee, like people I'd like to see come back. So I'll talk about that like in a little bit if people are tuning in and hoping I would toss some opinions out there. That's for the future because I haven't finished my content yet, you bitches. But like I'm looking through it and I had to shorten my short list and just from like players of the modern era, I had like over 100 that I had to like cut out. And that's basically, and if we're talking modern era, I would say that's about, it's not even necessarily the full divide between new school and old school, but I'd say basically Kagion, which is season 28 and beyond. I had about 100 people, just a little under, and had to cut it down, and I'm at 44 now. But like that
that
really
is
does go to show
wild.
how many people have played this game in the past.
I
It's
mean,
wild. It really is.
I've had half the seasons, but like we get asked this question every year with Big Brother, and if they had an all returnees season, who would you want? I have the hardest time picking 5 people I want to see again. Like, and I can't to have 100. That is wild to me. That says a lot about the show, though.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely I mean, it's always had good casting. I think it's fluctuated in people's opinions on how good the casting's been, but I think it's always been solid casting-wise. So, I think they're gonna have a large pool to pick from, but I do think it's gonna be interesting, um, to see what the theme's even gonna be, because that's gonna really determine who we're even talking about. So, like, I have, like, 5 lists going, so I have well, if it's all-stars, it'd be these people, but if it was heroes versus villains, it'd be this, or second chances, it'd be and it's like, so there's so many different things that go into it. There's so many opportunities, there could be legends, it could be a totally different theme that we haven't seen before, and I'm sure with 50, they're gonna try and do that because they wanna spice it up.
Literally my only request. I will accept whatever cast they give us because I don't have a whole lot to go by. But my only request, and I'm screaming out to the universe, I am manifesting, I am praying. And this probably won't like be a very popular opinion for those who just don't, stay on social media. Brandon needs another chance.
No, I don't disagree
I
with
want
that.
Brandon back on my screen.
He'd be fun to have back. No offense, he has not made my short list. But I'll tell you a couple of names that I have on here. I won't
I
tell
might
you
put Brandon
everything.
on all the shows, let's be honest. Put him on Big Brother.
Well, people might
Get Brandon a podcast. Get him like
oh, he's so fun to listen to. I love
I
it.
just
It's
want him
so
on
entertaining.
everything.
And I think he just got off to a real rough start, and it's
He
like
did.
having a better like, I feel like if he had a better opportunity to get going, I don't know, would have been different.
Yeah.
He didn't make my list from that season, but Emily and Caleb have made my short list. Um, I know some people, speaking of people that might cause some people to say, "What the hell?" I do have Jelinski on my short list.
Abigail.
You
Absolutely
have
the
to
fuck not.
listen to me.
Oh, all right. I don't, but go ahead. I will, because that's kind of our whole thing is I have to listen to you.
It's it's because he's going to be older, he's kind of had a chance to see his impact on the game, had a chance to rethink some of the moves that happened. Also, to be fair, we did know that, like, he wasn't bullshitting when, like, Q was saying, "Oh," when he said, "Oh, Q quit first," when it came to the, sweat versus savvy task, because clearly we know that Q just quits when he's down and out
Oh my
at this
God.
point.
My
But
thing,
I just like to see him get another chance, and if he becomes a Francesca, he becomes a Francesca. It is what it is, but I'd love to see it. Him
I
and
get what you're
Randon.
saying, but I feel like the position he's living in right now in this infamous Jelinski, I feel like going back might ruin that. I feel like he just needs to stay
Would it?
in
I feel like it'll
as this
enhance it.
little part of survivor history that will be forgotten in about 10 years, except for like the real ones. The real ones would get the references. It'll be like our little, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like just let him live where he in this space of survivor fandom that he's living, and I'm like I think that that's where he belongs.
I've also said that someone who else made my short list is Mike White, the creator of White Lotus. I would absolutely fucking love to see him come back and wreak havoc. He was so good on his season. I would kill for that.
Mm.
I'm not sure he'd be allowed back on. Or I don't know if "allowed's" the right word. I don't know if he'd be able to come back on, but we'll see. It's more of an "if you know, you know" situation, but let's not
Not
get
because I
tangled
saw
in
his
that.
season at all, but like I wouldn't mind a Chase Rice return.
I would pass hard,
I know
very
nothing about
hard.
his survivor. And
He
for
is
those of you who don't know,
terrible at
you know what
Survivor.
though? We're
God
sitting around the
awful.
fire pit one night and this song comes on, and let me tell you, like I love a good raunchy, sexy song. And it was country though. And I was like, oh, oh, and then it made me feel a certain way. And then I was like, who the fuck is this on my speakers right now? And I Googled it and it said he was on Survivor. So I texted Abigail immediately and I was like, what the fuck? Like, what? And apparently he wasn't like a big singer until
He literally launched his
after.
career. He launched his career on the reunion show on finale night. He was like,
Good
"I
for
have a song
him.
I wanna play for people, la, la, la," and then right, like, a week out of that it's not that he used that to do it, but he was kind of using it to promote his album that was coming out the week after the
I'll
Survivor
tell you what
finale.
though, Ride is a
So,
panty dropper of all country panty droppers, and I'm
definitely
here
not
for it.
disagreeing. Totally not disagreeing. But I would just say if you went back and watched his season, um, all I will say is if I want someone to return to the show, I would like someone who returns to the show that has a lick of strategy. Just
Okay.
any strategy, and he
I will say
has
something
none.
controversial here that like so let's just get everybody pissed at us. Um I I don't I
We've
mean
lived for it.
yeah, like
It's who we are.
our analytics can't get much worse, babes. So
No.
so anyway. Um so I don't want to see Parvati.
I don't think she wants to be on it anyways.
I
She's made
don't
it
want to see
clear she's
Suri.
done.
I basically don't want to see any Survivor alum that have done other reality shows. I want to see like Survivor vets just come back for Survivor. I don't want to see anybody that I'm familiar with from other shows.
I also just don't wanna Survivor does this thing where they overuse really, really popular returnees.
Yes.
So, like, this might piss some people off. As much as I love Kelly Wentworth, I do not think she should be coming back unless, like, there's a special twist. Like, Heroes versus Villains, for me, is one of the only things I would say, well, that would be my holdup. But Sari had a chance to be on the original, so did Sandra, so did Boss and Rob. So I'm saying anybody who had a chance to be on the original one, no, they don't count. But from 21 and on, if they have gone on another show, I wouldn't they wouldn't be my first pick, but if they would make a good cast for a Heroes versus Villains, I would consider it. But I'm
Mhm.
largely with you in that where it's like I want to see these fresher faces that we haven't really had a chance to see multiple times. And Stephen Fishbach was just talking about it too, where it's like so many players, especially when they leave, they yearn for this opportunity to come back and get this
Yeah.
second shot at what they lost. Um, and so that I think is going to be that plays a lot into the casting process itself. So I'll be
You
really
know who
curious
would
to see.
be and hear me, I know that he wouldn't. I haven't listened to this week's episode since the announcement. So but Rob Sesternino, Rob
Thought about
love
that.
we love Rob.
Oh, we love
However,
Rob.
like when he got his returnee season, he was targeted immediately because he was so good. Would he have a better shot playing against like Survivor icons and bigger Survivor names who he's now friends with most of them?
Well,
Are
he
they
has
gonna
said
think
that he
see
would
are
consider being on Traders, so I don't think that
so
writes it off
but, like,
necessarily.
are all these Survivor alums that he's interviewed, that he's had on his show, that he's talked to, that he knows, gonna see him as Rob the threat? Or are they gonna see him as Rob the ally? And that's where I'm saying, like, that would be a very interesting dynamic for me to
While it
see.
would be I don't think realistically that it will happen because I think Rob
Mm,
is very ingrained right now in his Survivor coverage, and, like, when you're on that show, he wouldn't be able to cover it, like,
no.
and so, like and I'm not
No,
saying
no,
this in
no.
that
That
way, but,
I'm
like
saying that this isn't gonna happen, but that is one returnee that has already gone back that I would still like to see going back because I feel like it would be a whole different playing field
right.
than his return season.
Another person, that I would like to see that's another oldie that we have seen a couple times, and people are gonna hate me, and they're gonna be like, "Abigail, you're just being a super fan," and yes, I know I am. Jonathan Penner, but it would have been 25 seasons he had not been on the show. His last appearance was on season 25. So it's like, it'd be fun. He is a devious, devious man. He has gone through a lot in life, though, since. He has lost his wife, I believe, to ALS. He is
Mm.
really kind of like, I mean, he's always been kind of like this chill guy, but he has become, from what I can tell, very like, he's got the long flowing hair, kind of hippy dippy a little bit now. Seems a little more mellow, at least from the outside looking in. So I'd be curious to see him. Another person I'd like to see would be Wes Nail, Keith Nail's son. They both played on Blood versus Water together, and Keith Nail just passed away this past year. I think that would be really interesting. I don't know what he would be brought on for, but it would be a nice little tribute maybe. So those are kind of some interesting names, but um yeah, there's a lot. And I mean, I have a long list. That is like barely scraping the surface of people I would be interested in
Yeah.
seeing.
I think my exception to the if they went on to do other shows, I don't want them back. The only exception I have to that rule is Tyson.
Oh, I mean, I want Tyson on anything and
Every
everything.
show.
I
Yeah,
live for Tyson's
every show.
antics.
Yes.
It's just so much just gimme. I live for it. It's
Yeah.
tune in like appointment television. Oh, and then the other fun one I'll leave off on that I think would be fun is Shan and Ricard.
Oh, I love me some Shan.
Back
I
together again too. Like that would just be like gimme.
love.
But one thing that everybody's talking about is like think about the level of pre-gaming that is about to be going on ahead of
Oh,
this.
1,000%. 1,000%.
I mean, if we thought pre-gaming for Big Brother All-Stars 2 was bad, this is going to be multi-year pre-gaming right now.
Yeah.
And pre-gaming before Winners at War was a wild ride. So it's going to be what it is. Very curious to see where they take it though. So, any other comments before we hop on to lay recap for the week?
No, let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's
God,
talk
I
about
love this season. I
Spicy
fucking
Jeff.
love this season. Spicy Jeff with the
You know,
popcorn.
I don't mind Spicy Jeff, but sometimes Spicy Jeff feels a little forced.
Well, okay, here's the thing. This episode was titled Spicy Jeff, but really I didn't see
It didn't feel like
that.
there was a point. It was
He
just
gave
because
him
someone said it.
popcorn. How's that spicy? I
I
feel like he was spicier in previous episodes with during the competition banter. I don't feel like it was kind of a
yeah.
random
I'm
episode to be named that.
I'm not trying to be a jerk. It's just you know what I'm about to say. Lots of things end up going back to Jeff, and it just very seems like it's about
It's the
Jeff.
Jeff show.
It's the Jeff Probst show that got canceled several years ago. Like
And
actually, he had a talk show that got canceled. I'm not
I will
saying
say
that it
this,
was
like
bad.
I liked Tribal Council. I liked
Yes,
the whole bit with the
that
chair
was
and the
fun.
popcorn and that, the talking about the drama and encouraging it too. And like I'm here for it, it was fun. It was very, very fun. Um I'm enjoying the episode titles in general this season. So I feel like all of them have been kind of callbacks to um the social media of it all, which by the way, it must be said, it must be noted. I know I posted on TikTok today. Um, you're not going to be seeing Survivor on Twitter. You're not going to be
No.
seeing Big Brother on Twitter. You're not going to be seeing Apple posting on Twitter. You're actually not going to be seeing multiple companies on Twitter because Elon Musk was endorsing some anti-Semitic rhetoric
Yeah.
on Twitter. And so all these companies with paid Twitter accounts are pulling their funds, pulling their ads, and they're just shoop out of there.
It's
So
funny
instead of
because
saying like the Survivor, like Twitter streets, we're talking TikTok streets. And I feel like this episode, like they're just kind of calling back to the social media fan base of it all. So I'm here for that part.
it's funny that people are bringing that up finally because I and I'm not saying it's like, oh, I tweeted it first. It's like I think we've all started like trickling in and noticing it like over the last couple months. It was just now because Dalton Ross
Mhm.
he made a comment. He was like, wake up, wakey wakey, where are you? And I think it was reality TV
Well, you brought it
newsroom
up a
update.
couple weeks ago that it
Yeah.
wasn't, that the account hadn't been active, hadn't posted in a while. I didn't think much of it. I just thought
I'm not
I didn't give it
surprised
a
by
second thought. I did it. I remember hearing you say that and just thinking, oh, that's kind of weird. And then not thinking anything of it. And then I saw the Adult Rops post the question,
that. Yeah.
reality Athletes answered it with the article. I tried to read the article, but New York Times wanted me to pay for it. So then I just Googled more and then
Paywalls,
CBS
kill
paywall.
journalism. And I don't care
But
who hears me say
the
that.
information is out there. So, I was able to find more out about it. But yeah, I hope Elon Musk loses every fucking penny he has. So
I will respectfully refrain from my opinions on Elon Musk on this podcast. Sarah knows why. It's just
Yeah.
for legal reasons, I must refrain. But
I'm a free
um,
agent, and my opinions are that of my own and do not reflect that of the podcast or Abigail or
my
any
employer.
affiliate or any employers. Mine are my opinions are that of mine alone. So anyway, all that being said, I
All
do
the
love,
legal disclaimers aside,
yes, I
we're fine.
do love the episode names, and I like
Mhm.
how production's getting kind of spicy with it.
Yeah.
Other than that, this episode was very frustrating, was very confusing, and once again, I feel like my only complaint for the season, because I'm good with the competitions. I feel great about the cast. I feel great about how, like, it, as far as new era seasons go, that the formatting and everything is going. Like, I'm good with every part of the season except for the editing, because I feel like we are just once again trying to leave tribal so much of a mystery that we are not getting important pieces of information, and this was
To be
another example
fair,
of that.
that is a historic problem Survivor has had. Like, I can remember way back in the day, not because it's an important one of the most dramatic, but it's one that I can actually, like, remember. I don't know why it sticks in my brain. Um, it wasn't I don't think it was Brenda's first season. Brenda played this girl named Brenda. She played actually on Chase Rice's season, but I believe it was her second time around. No. No, 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 no. It had to have been no, I actually think it was her first season because it was with Sash, I believe, who screwed her over. But one of the seasons she played, um, production just left out a whole core piece of the conversations that were had right before tribal council, and that things flipped almost immediately, because a couple conversations were had that she wasn't part of, and that's ultimately actually how she ended up leaving the game. And she's like, and I mean, also, to be fair, they only had an hour to play with. Here we have 90 minutes. So it does get really frustrating where it's like you're given these 90 minutes. And I get that they didn't have that to plan with when it came to like filming it, but it actually shouldn't be hard to write a story like that. Like, it's just like, oh, just make sure you don't miss the key details. That's all. And it is getting really frustrating because, like,
I feel like they're leaning too much into it, though. I feel like
yeah,
progressively over the
they
last
want
few
to.
years too, we're only seeing conversations about getting so and so out whose names never, like, it's getting to the point now where when I'm watching the episode, if they're talking about getting someone out, I know that that person's 100% safe.
I mean, you can't though, because like Hunter's name was brought up a couple times in this episode, and then like by that theory, you're like, oh, then Hunter's safe.
Well, I'm saying, but it's leaning more to like the storyline. Whoever they're leading it up to make it look like is going home
Oh,
is
I
not
mean,
the one
yeah,
going home.
they're playing too much with red herrings, and I understand red herrings are like a prominent part of reality television. I'm not saying don't do them. Just feels like they're getting very like it's being overdone at this point, and it's like, just keep like, we want to actually be able to follow what's about to happen at tribal council. We don't need a flashback. If they're not going to give us a flashback, we don't need to be left wondering how that came to
Mm.
be, because even taking these notes, like, there are little things like Liz getting upset about things, and it's like, I mean, I get it, but like, I totally like didn't even really remember the fact that she was left out of the vote because so much different shit was going on.
That
It's
was
not that I couldn't
strange.
see it,
Can we
but it's just
like
like, it's hard
the
when you're
Liz
not
thing
making
was
it clear.
strange.
The Liz thing,
I mean, it was very on brand for Liz, I guess. Like she's just, but the Liz thing was strange.
yeah.
Um, there was so much about, but there's so much about this season in particular that's strange, and I'm finding kind of like little themes. Whereas like one year we had the theme of that everybody just fucking quitting. This year the theme is uh never play your fucking idol.
Yeah.
Like shot in the
If
darks
he falls
idols.
for
What
that,
the
I will
fuck are
die.
those? Like I don't, oh my god. So I can't tell you, like, I have played the Survivor, and I'm gonna make us bigger for this because I want to drive this point home. Okay. Listen. Um I've played the Survivor game on Nintendo Switch, and it's hard. Like, I mean, I did not do well the first couple go rounds, but I had to kind of figure out like the grooves. And then, but once you figure out, like, if you talk to people, okay, when I finally, because it's almost impossible to find an idol on this fucking game, but when you find an idol, okay, even if you talk, like, I could talk to every single person and they're all giving me the same name that we're voting. I'm still playing my idol because I found out that one, my anxiety won't let me just risk it. Two, it doesn't, people fucking lie. And if you're the target, they're going to fucking lie to you. How in the world have we had multiple people at tribal council hear their name thrown around pre-tribal council and then go in with full confidence that they don't need to play it? Does anyone have an idol or advantage they like to play? And they're like, nah. Like, I don't get it. I do not get it. I don't get it. And I especially don't get it. And I know he did the interview, and I'm just kind of doing a rant right now, and I'm sorry, but I know he did the interview on Rob's where they're like, why didn't you play it? And he's like, well, I felt really safe. And they were all saying Q and blah, blah, blah. Hunter, you know better, babe, because your name was thrown around. And you were saying that things weren't adding up. You were saying you were on the wrong side of the vote last week. You were like all these things. And then you just told everybody that you had an idol. I could see that the only explanation I could possibly think of is he thought that they truly pivoted to Q because he said he was going to play his idol. Still play your fucking idol, because they, like, Venus, like, he's bluffing. He's bluffing. And like, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. So frustrating.
I mean this in all kindness, but I really feel like it was Hunter's cockiness really getting to him. Because I think in part he really wanted to save that idol for when it really mattered. And it's like, this is the time where it matters.
Ultimately, he was so genuinely scared. He was genuinely worried even before anything happened. At Arrival, he was so genuinely scared. So I'm like, I don't even see any cockiness on his face there.
No, it wasn't there. It's
like,
it's that he is, or maybe it's not cockiness, but it's the arrogance of I'm safe and I can save this for another time. When it's just like, just okay, but you don't have another time if you get voted out. If you have
you can win the next competition, boo. They won after you because they can't beat you. So like,
and to Tiffany's point, it gets replanted. Just go find the goddamn idol again. Like, if you're like, that is it's part of,
it was such a pointless loss. It was such a pointless, like, it was a great move for the tribe because yes, he is a threat. And it was a fantastic move, but like, it was so pointless.
Yeah.
Because Hunter, if anyone has a chance at one, winning immunity the next week, and two, finding another fucking idol, it's you. Like,
and I feel like that goes to show his Survivor inexperience too, because he should realize that he is somebody who is such a big physical threat as him, and this is the 1 week that he doesn't have a necklace. He should know that this is a time that he might need to play his idol and like not trust the votes.
Especially, like, you've been performing the way you've been performing. It's the exact same thing in Big Brother. When you have a comp beast who is an outgoing HOH and is eligible to be on the block and they don't win veto, like, you're the one that should be the most scared.
Yep. Absolutely.
Oh my God. It was so frustrating. So frustrating. He was definitely like one of my winner picks. And I mean, golly, our draft is just neck and neck. They're just like,
it's so funny.
I'm wondering who from your team we're gonna lose next week.
Shut up. Shut up.
Because we're just gonna volley back and forth.
Apparently. It's probably gonna be Q. That's if anybody,
Jesus. Can we talk? Are we ready? Can we talk about Q now?
Well, I mean, yeah, we can talk about anything.
So my question is that, like, Survivor,
you want to put your thing back down though, so we could go back to normal size?
What?
You know how you do?
Oh yeah, we can.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know how to do the word. Go back.
sorry. Okay.
No, you're
All
good.
right.
Anyways,
Okay.
go ahead.
So I know Big Brother is a very long-term game and they have regular appointments with like mental health professionals and it can be a very mentally exhausting game. I know 1 week of I know 3 days. I know 1 day of not eating normal food, sleeping in a regular bed, living in air conditioning
They have
would have.
access to doctors.
Okay. Is Q good? Can we check, like, is he good?
They do have lines. I don't know what the line is in terms of checking with mental health, but I mean, I think they
I'm
probably
concerned.
I'm sure they're addressing it. What I mean,
Is this like the Survivor version of BB Brain? Like,
yes.
it
Yes, it
okay.
is. Yes, it is.
It
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 is
is
nothing more than that. It is just
because
people with a certain personality type, and I'm not saying that in a negative way toward Q. It is just like it when it comes to this level of pressure and where they are put in the game, it can cause these kinds of reactions. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I think he's I've had the same thoughts myself. Sorry, I'm like playing with my hair because it looks atrocious today. But no, like I'm with you. I wish I knew more about the line that they had when it comes to, like, talking to people with mental health, on Survivor. I do know that they, to some degree, do have those conversations,
okay.
though.
Speaking of mental health, mine
'Cause,
is
like, they stepped
fine.
in for Ben. Remember how Ben just had the panic attack? Like,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
they they had a check-in, I believe, if I remember right. So, like, they are gonna make sure that, like, people aren't going psycho on the island,
Okay.
that they're gonna have the proper access to certain mental health things, but they can't just step in when someone's like, "Oh, I'm a little anxious." Like, you can talk about it in your, um, what's it called? In your confessional,
I'm
but,
not
like, there
saying
are
like
lines.
And I'm not saying he's at any kind of level where I'm concerned literally like he needs
Yeah.
to be pulled or what. I'm at a level concerned like I was again comparing it to Big Brother, the same level of concern I was for Sambot. You know,
Yes. Like, you good?
like I'm watching a progression here and but yeah, he's speaking of mental health, I want to let everybody know for our viewers, I am okay. I know I got bangs. That's not a reflection of my mental health or it's
At first,
or
I was
like
like, "Are you what have you not told me, girly?" Are
like
you
I
okay?
am fine. I just decided I wanted to change and it was not for breakup. Me and Mr. Talks are fine.
You do
And I
this all
just
the
want to
time.
put that, yeah,
Like,
these
once
are
a
not
year.
mental health bangs. These are just like switching it up. Okay. But yeah, I did get asked, oh, it's cute, but bangs, are you okay? Like, are things good? And just, but
They are
yeah.
not immediately indicative of mental health crisis. It's not. It's not. Thank you.
um, yeah, I feel like, yeah, Q's antics at Last Tribal were wild. I feel like he didn't do much in the way of redeeming himself this episode either. Um, I'm not really sure. I guess I'm still trying to like lay a finger on like his personality type here. The conversation with Tiffany, both at tribal and on the beach, like both of them were I can't really understand what his gameplay is here or where he thinks he's going with this. And then his confessionals are even more confusing because like he shows this cockiness about himself where he's just like they can't kill me or like and I don't.
I think that's I think you think you might not understand. You have nailed it quite literally on the head, though. Like, that it really is, it's just it's Q's way or the highway. I think I've said that at least twice in the last couple of weeks. Like, if Q doesn't get his way, it's one of two options. He either quits or he either convinces you to go his way or he quits because it can't not be his way. Like, people like people will have that come, and it doesn't necessarily mean that that is who they are in real life, but it can
Mhm.
be what is triggered in you, when you're on Survivor. I don't know if that's his personality outside of the game, but, like, that is genuinely what I get, and I know people in life that have that, where
But
it's
he
just
went
like
from being in such a great position to now, like, if you're Q, like, who do you trust? Who are you working with? Who would you consider your ally?
I think that
Because
also shows his lack of knowledge in the game.
okay, because he's a lone wolf right now, and no one's hiding that fact. Kinsey, that was a oh oh my
Yeah.
god, I was living for that moment where
It was
she was just like,
great.
I'm not having this conversation with you, Q. I'm not working with you, and like this would just don't even bring your bullshit to me, you know. And that was fantastic. But like people are flat out telling you, like I don't want to listen to you. Like
Yep.
you're dead to me. And so as a player in this game, like I don't know where you think you go from here.
I don't know either because did you watch the preview for next week?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, did you see the part where they're zooming in on his face and someone literally screams, "You blew up my game," and it's not, like, at the top of their lungs, it is like,
Uh-uh.
"I
It sounded like
am."
Liz.
Okay, it is either Liz or Kenzie.
I
I
feel like it's
cannot figure
Liz.
out, I think it's Liz too, but I could also see it be
I feel like we're
Kenzie
about
if
to see Liz crack.
I think that's gonna be, I think they've been building it up too,
Yeah.
because like, the sneak
We got the
peek
tidbits
the
and the
sneak
this
peek for next
mhm.
week, they show Liz is wicked upset, and then I'll go back to the beginning of this episode just because 'cause I'm right here in my notes.
Yeah.
But in the sneak peek we get for next week, um, she talks about, like, she doesn't like that she was left out of the loop on this vote, and that she is desperate to get Q out of the game. Um, Tiffany does too. Tiffany actually talks about that she's tired of the drama, tired of the chaos, said he flew too close to the sun. Um, it's just kind of interesting. So I think that's gonna be, both of those I think are gonna play a really big important role in the next
Mhm.
episode. But we also saw at the beginning of this episode, like, Liz was equally as pissed off because, like, Q had blown up at the last tribal council and she didn't get the, like, attention that she thought she deserved for her move.
Mhm. For the
Um
Tevin move.
Exactly, for the Tevin
Yeah.
move. I have mixed feelings on it because, like,
Me
I
too.
actually like,
I
I
didn't
really
see
do.
that as her move. I saw it as one she participated in and one that she said like, "Well, however y'all vote, that's how I'm voting." She didn't really I don't
Well, I think she initiated it, but she wasn't there then to do the legwork. Sh Everybody else did the
yeah.
legwork to make sure the vote
Yes.
was there, but she was the one who was like, "Let's go." Same with
But
Venus. Her and
perception is
Venus.
reality, and from her perception, she
Correct.
planted the seed and it grew. We
Right.
saw everything, and we saw that she just said she was voting for him. We didn't see her do any of the legwork to actually turn any of the votes against him. So I didn't come away from it seeing it as her move. So her being upset, I mean, again, perception is reality.
Correct.
Um,
I
and it
understand why she felt that way.
I mean, it was a very she I okay, again, like I said, like that it seemed like kind of like an overly emotional response for it, but let's
She also
think like
hadn't eaten a lot, like, she is not
she's
eating.
yeah, I've been worried about her health the most out of anybody on the island. Hers is the one I'm worried about the most.
I try not to fully speculate on people's health conditions without understanding them, try. Um, but, like, so I don't know
I cried
everything
this
she's gone
weekend
through,
because
but,
I
like,
was
it's a
craving a
big
fluff.
topic.
I'm not gonna lie, like I got the nose tingles and the eye watering kind of cries this weekend when I had a craving for a fluffernutter sandwich and I couldn't find any marshmallow fluff and I got really emotional about it. I can't even imagine going that long without actually like popcorn is the first thing she's gotten to eat and I don't know how long and
It was
that's
72 hours that she had
whew,
anything.
it's wild. Wild to me.
It is
Uh,
really, and so it does bring
so
up a
she gets a pass.
conversation. I don't even know if how much I can contribute to it, but I do think it brings up a conversation about, like, what can you do on Survivor? Because on the one hand, you really don't want to be ableist in casting and being like, oh, well, you have this little thing, so we can't let you be on Survivor. But then there are things that, like, it's like, there are medications that I know you and I are familiar with in our lives that, like, sometimes you need to take them with food, and it's not even like some people will be like, oh, well, like, there's a debate about whether ADHD medication should be allowed. That has been a debate that I have seen multiple times throughout the Survivor fandom. And there are people on one side being like, I need it to literally be able to, like, not just like function in terms of like having thought processes. It's literally like having no executive dysfunction, being able to actually like have a physical function as a
I can
your
function
body.
without my meds, not very well. But my son cannot. My
Right.
my son cannot function at all. He cannot think to like take care of himself or anything. Like his
It can
is
be
so severe.
debilitating.
It's very his is very debilitating. If so, he has to have his meds every single day. Or you know, we're in a country right now where it can be very very difficult for him to get his meds, so we have
Yep.
had days without it. Those are days that I'm not going to be able to carry on a conversation with him. If something were wrong with him, he'd have a very hard time articulating to me like what was going on with him. He's more prone to panic attacks and anxiety attacks. Like, we just have to have a very mellow day of maybe him playing Xbox for the entire day to survive it. So I get that and I understand that. I've this debate has come up time and time again, not just with Survivor, but with Big Brother as well.
Yeah.
And I still am a firm believer in, like, the game is what it is. I am all for making more accessible um competitions. For example, Matt, who, by the way, although he is a piece of shit, I still firmly believe that if you are going to cast and I can say that as my own opinion, is not a reflection of anybody on the podcast or their affiliates
You're
or their
gooch.
employers,
Totally.
but 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 if you are going to cast the first deaf house guest, then you shouldn't have auditory competitions. However, that being said, I do not believe that um, Survivor and Big Brother, if essential parts of the games, you need to be able to function. um, for example, Survivor is known you have to go long periods of time with hunting your own food. If the resources available on the island for food wise, you are allergic to all of them, that is a you decision whether you should still apply. It is well known what resources are available on the same island they've been filming at for I don't know how many seasons now. So I'm kind of in that, like, it is what it is. And it's kind of like taking a job where, like, these are the requirements of the job. Can you complete these requirements? If you need special accommodations, let us know. And then you work with that employer to see if that can be done. I, I, I'm just gonna stay in that camp. Like, these shows are very transparent in what the requirements are. And so Liz signed up for this, and I feel very terrible for her and I feel very bad for her. Maybe she thought that there would be more opportunities to win food.
Well, they used to
Or
have
rice
actual
or
rice. Like, they used
yeah.
to actually give them rice, and I do think that, like, that's a change I'm not sure I really support long term, because, like, that taking that out really does it is a huge hindrance on people who do have the food allergies, because we've had people with who can't eat fish in the past. Like, it's not that
I
it's a
mean,
new
at this
thing.
point, starving them having the same effect on them
No.
as, like, have-nots on the Big Brother. It used to do something. It's not doing what you need it to do anymore. It's not having any lasting effects on the game.
Mm-mm.
So it's kind of just torture for entertainment's sake at this point. Like, it's making no difference to us, the viewers. I mean, we're talking about it on the podcast, but
But it's not
ultimately
really.
it's not
Yeah.
making any difference to us in the outcome of the episode,
Right.
whether or not they got to eat. Right now, Jeff has a hard on for, like, the victory moment
He
for
gets to
whenever
starve
or
it.
yeah, like when, you have a tribe that's been down on their luck and hasn't had foot, and then they win food and they do, like, you're thinking it's this big moment. And yeah, it is for, like, a little smidgen. but ultimately it's not having any lasting effects on the game or how anything plays out. So I kind of think it's kind of silly at this point. I mean, throw them some fucking rice.
Even if you wanted to cut down how much rice, like if they wanted to even half the rice and be like, you
Mhm.
only have this amount. We used to
Yeah.
give you this bag. Now we only give you this jar. I get it. Even that there will be people who would even be like, well, no, no, no. You're going to have debates no matter what.
Yeah.
But like, I think that would be a more reasonable compromise than just saying no rice for anybody. No
Yeah.
rice. Because then also, why are you fighting for your Flint? When they used to have to boil their water, I don't believe they have to boil their water anymore because they like, and unless I could be corrected on that, but like there's very like I mean it's basically for just like you need fire to stay warm
Mm.
and maybe cook stuff if you win like fishing stuff. But like you saw earlier this season that like a team had to literally just pass up fishing stuff because they just wanted their flint or
Yeah.
because they didn't have their flint and they were like, well, I guess we're gonna take
Well,
the camping supplies because that's
because
better
this
than
fish isn't sushi grade.
yeah. So I think that's a massive flaw. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they need to start giving them a little bit of rice back. Doesn't have to be nearly as much. I understand. Hey, we're having a shorter season. If you want to
I mean,
do
we
it like
know
that, that's
like Jeff
whatever.
likes to, I mean, he likes to bust out his knife and stab the bag of rice and watch him panic and like, fucking do it, man. Like, just do it. You know you want to.
Yeah, I don't know. This,
But then he can give him popcorn at Tribal, and that was cute.
but like I liked that, right? But like, why was he allowed to do that? Usually you don't get like I don't know that
Because he's Jeff, and
but
it's
it
the Jeff
but it
Probst show.
violated a rule on this show that happened before. Like there was a time where like people got a piece of chocolate, if I remember right, and like that time it pissed me off too. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but like the whole show is supposed to be like you don't get any sort of reward without like
Yeah.
earning it.
I thought it was a cute moment. I
No,
was
no,
here for it.
I
A part
agree.
of
I
me, like
agree.
the mom in me though, was like, all of y'all pass that shit down to Liz, you selfish
Right.
bitches.
Honestly, that was the only person I was concerned about, and I was like, "Give her the popcorn, she does deserve that." But in general, like, when he passes out food to people, I'm like, "They what did they didn't earn that." What the whole point of the show is you don't get the special things without putting in the work to earn the special thing. So then when
Yeah.
it's just like, "Hey, here's a special thing just out of nowhere," it's like, "What's the point?" It just seems very like it's like so then what's the point of making them fight for it if you're just going to randomly hand them a piece of chocolate at tribal council? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or in this case popcorn. And I'm not trying again. I'm not saying I hated it so much. It was like it just felt weird cuz I'm like, "Meh, the rules say
It was
else."
unexpected. When you have so many
I'm a
tribals
follow the
that are
rules early too. Like if you
yeah,
don't
and
follow the rules to a T, it like hurts my heart and then I'm just like,
yeah.
"Stop it. That's not the
Bro, I
rule."
feel you. I'm a Capricorn. But it was also like it's I don't know. It was like a break from the normal. It was
Yeah.
unexpected. It was a cute moment for them. I feel like the tribals can sometimes tribal cats can get really wordy, and Jeff can seem to pose the exact same questions over and over
Yeah.
again. And so for me, it was
Jeff
a
needs
welcome
help.
change.
Jeff needs I love him, he needs help with his I've said this before, his journalism skills have, dwindled a little bit, and, like, it's
It's
the
getting very repetitive. So like this was a break in the monotony of it all. And so I was here for that. I will say this about how the like this tribal council in particular, I can't I as much as I'd like screaming you had a fucking idol in your pocket. This wasn't like other tribal councils that we've seen this season where it's like a landslide. It's a majority vote, it's a blindside. This
Right.
was a tie vote and it was very exciting to see. Um so I feel like the people like when Hunter was being told like it hello it's cute like he is go they were being genuine, they weren't trying to he couldn't pick up any like lying vibes.
Well, here's the
Yeah.
problem, correct? Because there were people who were lying, and there are people who
Yeah.
weren't. There were people who
Right.
were dead like, Liz and Venus, dead serious. They were like,
Mhm.
"Vote has not changed. We are on cue." Kenzie, Tiff, and
And Venus was
Charlie
the most convincing to me. If I was
Yep.
Hunter, that would have been the she's like, "Do you literally see what the fuck he's doing right now? We are
Yes.
voting his ass out,"
Yep.
Like, I So that would have been very, very convincing to me. And then if you look at
Yep.
contextually this season, every tribal council that Hunter's been to have been landslides. And so if someone is with conviction telling you, no, it's legit Q, you kind of like habitually might think like, oh, everyone's voting Q, like not thinking there are other people that are not confirming this for you.
And it feels like he hasn't done a lot of social legwork either, where it just feels like as I'm looking back now too, where it's just
Yeah.
kind of like Tevin was the person who was making the moves and calling the shots, and then when Tevin was gone, he felt absolutely it was I mean, who el him and Tevin were the only 2 people that ended up voting for Venus last week. They were attached at the hip, and it's like it felt like as soon as Tevin was gone, he had no game left. He didn't know how to do the
Yeah.
social part, and it's
I will
like
say that Tiffany didn't play her idol like she was going to. So she lucked out there because I'm sorry, we could talk about that, but she has to. I'm going to go on record. Tiff has to play her idol
I
next
think
week.
she's going to. I think the only reason she wasn't this time is because she saw how it was going like, she knew she had the firsthand information that it was gonna
She
split.
got very lucky though
I
because
know.
there was a coup
Yep.
in play and wild. Why I thought surely Kinsey is just trying to make Hunter feel comfortable. That's where this is all coming from. And like then we get the confessional and I that's it's
Her
wild. It's
her relationship with Ben, I think, has changed so much about the game, and I wish we got more about that because,
yeah.
like, Ben and Kenzie like, that was the whole reason I'm almost positive why Ben was like, "Ah, I'll buddy up with you and Tiffany for the challenge." Like, in any other realm, like, if we didn't have that context of after his panic attack, they really started
Mhm.
bonding, if we didn't have that context, like, we would have had no, like, reason to understand why she's now also leaning toward people that he's been aligned with. She wants to work with them. And it's really interesting. You know, we say it all the time. Like, there's a reason that everything shows up in an edit, and if they leave something out, it, not that we
Yeah.
would appreciate not seeing it sometimes, but like they put the things in there that ultimately do need to be seen. Um, for the most part. And so that's I couldn't stop thinking about that when we got to that part because it was just like, "Oh, light bulb." Like,
Yeah.
one of those things, so
Oh, Tiffany has yeah, she has to play her idol next week. And just for my own sanity so that I know production isn't interfering and telling them not to, which I logically know that's not the case, but like what the fuck is wrong with this season? So I just need someone to break this curse and just play a fucking idol. That would be great, please. Thanks. So we know at least Tiffany's safe for the next week. But then
hopefully.
we also don't know who
There's an issue with that, and I just wanna raise it real quick.
uh-huh.
She plans to flush the idol in general. She has not made any indication that it's automatically gonna be played on herself. There is a chance if they can dupe her into playing it for someone else that they can not only flush the idol, but get her out at the same time.
My gut doesn't see her doing that for anyone on this tribe.
I see her doing it for Kenzie. That is the one person, and if Kenzie can flip, not only would she I mean, I think that would, be a game-winning move, in my opinion.
It would, but I
But
don't
Marie
see it
wants to make
happening
one.
because
Correct.
what we know from early season is that Tiffany is fully aware of how savage Kenzie is and has her eye on her and has had her eye on her since the beginning. She had those conversations with Q about Kenzie trying to like play the middle between the two of them and kind of keep her all to herself. It was benefiting her at the beginning. So I feel like Tiffany's got a good read on Kenzie. I don't think Kenzie, I don't in my gut see that happening. You're like you said, it is a possibility. I just don't feel like it happens.
I don't
All right, let's put
necessarily either. I think Maria's gonna be the person that ends up making the move based on what we saw for next week on Survivor. Um, 'Cause she goes up to Q and is like, "Oh, everybody's coming for you, but you can change that," and she goes
Mhm.
straight to a confessional and is like, "This could be a game-winning move."
Yeah.
So, she could be referencing that as herself, she could also be saying like, "Oh, like, this is how I'm trying to convince him to make the move." So it'll be I'm curious to see what full context we get there. But yes, we are back tied in our winners draft again.
There is some
Um
the jury seemed,
We have breaking
Tevin and
Survivor news, that's
okay.
coming in as we're recording. Survivor 50, Jeff has spoken with Us Weekly, and Survivor 50 won't be limited to New Era returning castaways. So it will
Okay.
be there will just so people know, we have gotten confirmation that it won't just be seasons 40 through 49. We are going to have people from the past. I don't think, he has specified how far, but, just confirmation just for anybody who wants to know that Survivor 50 will have pre-New Era returnees
Nice.
potentially coming back. So,
It would have been really fucking lame if it was only New Era.
I mean, I think I agree. I think you could have put together a good cast though still. It just would have been
You're missing out
disappointing.
on all
Yeah.
the back in my day, the shit was like 60 something days long and we went X amount of time without and then we had to,
Yep.
like you just,
Well, and also everybody's wondering what's gonna be like if you're gonna have that, so then is it gonna be 39 days and you're gonna make the newer people play a longer game than they're used to, or are you gonna have the older people play a shorter game than they're used to, much more like
yeah.
it's gonna be one way or the other.
Yeah.
Can't have it both.
I don't
So
know.
so it'll
But we
be
got the
interesting.
graphic up on the screen and like the jury seemed very tense to Tevin and Soda.
Tevin was
They
looking fine.
yes, very much
That
so.
outfit was
They
on
both
point.
look stunning. But yeah, they were just, I can't. They're giving me nothing. They're giving me no reads. I feel like Hunter's going to be a little bit more transparent on the jury. Like we're going to get a few more expressions out of him, just because he is what he is, and you just read his face. But like we had stone faces from Tevin and Soda, but it's always nice at this phase of the game to like they're gone, but they're still there. We still get to see them. But yeah, we are neck and neck with our draft. I was trying to think like who I feel is at the most danger and who is like the most safe at this point. And honestly, I feel very, very good about um Mariah,
Oh, good idea.
Charlie, and Ben. I feel like Charlie was in a bit of a danger, but I feel like we got too many big personalities that he's able to
He's sussing everything out. He's so
he is
smart.
he's playing beautifully. So is Ben.
So
Um
oh, go ahead.
so yeah, I feel like the Tiffany Kinsey thing is about to heat up. Q is just gonna be Q. I really hope
I'm
I
worried
need
for
Q
Tiffany
gone.
next week. I am actually as I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'm actually really concerned about her. I don't know if it's that she'd play her idol on somebody else, or I don't know what would happen, but because I really think that that could still be in the cards, because when Kenzie was the person that pitched possibly going for Tiffany, right? And everyone was like, "Ooh, I love that idea." And I mean, Maria earlier in the episode was like, "I gotta go for Tiffany. I'm gunning for Tiffany. I need to go for her because she has an idol and I don't like it." But she went
Mhm.
right up to Charlie and was like, "That can't be Kenzie's move. That has to be my move." And I
Mhm.
think that's what we see potentially in this preview for next week when she goes to Q, because they're already looking to flush the idol. She wants the move to be hers, and she even goes ahead to say that this could be a game-winning move. So I think she's going to try and take it. Whether she succeeds or not,
Yeah.
I'm not saying she will, but I think she's going to try and take a massive shot at Tiffany next week. I don't know how it's going to go, but that
I
is
just
my
know
prediction.
Tiffany cannot leave with that idol in her fucking pocket.
I
It
don't
cannot happen.
I
And
don't know
I
if she will,
don't
but
see her
sh
playing it on anybody but herself. I
I
don't
don't
even
know.
think if Kenzie was in trouble and Tiffany needed to flush the idol, I still don't think Tiffany would play her idol for Kenzie. I still think she would flush her idol knowing good and well Kenzie was going home.
I think there's something we just don't know that doesn't obviously they're not gonna give us everything
Yeah.
right up front, but I'm gonna hold true. I think that my prediction is at least somewhat on point, and we'll come back next week,
Mhm.
and I'll eat my words if I was completely off base, but I
I
think she is
feel
in trouble.
just some, like, gut reaction predictions. I feel like if that was Liz's voice with the blow up, which I really feel like it was, because I listened to it a couple times and I feel like it's Liz. I feel like that's gonna bite her in the ass. Maybe not this next week, but I feel like it's gonna put some heat on her.
Mhm.
Um, I think Q is going to leave very soon, if not next week, the week after, something around those lines. If they're unable to get maybe Tiffany out, like he's going to be like a let's go ahead and get him out, and then we'll have Tiffany flush her idol, and then we'll get her out the next week, something along those lines. But I do feel like Charlie and Ben are probably out of the eight. I feel like Charlie and Ben are in the best spots. I worried that Mariah might there's a potential there for her to make because of what we saw going in next week. My gut's telling me that she's either going to make a big move or something's going to blow up in her face and it's going to blow up her spot.
Yeah. I think next week is gonna be not in a bad way, I think it's gonna just be a mess of a week because
Mess.
there's gonna be so much going on, but I live for the mess, and I'm so here
Well,
for
so
the
does Venus. Um,
mess. Yep, we know that.
she lives for the chaos. She lives for the mess. I feel like that's going to suit her for a minute. I still think that with Hunter now being gone, and once Q's gone and people aren't so distracted by his antics, the people I feel like Kenzie and Venus are going to be the two that they're the dangers,
Yeah.
the ones that the threats, like the ones that
Mhm.
were like, oh, they're a threat, they need to go. As I'm looking, obviously Tiffany, her name's always going to be in that mix. Maybe not. She's kind of good at the laying low-ish part. I feel like she integrated into merged really well.
Yeah.
And competition wise, she's dialed it back some, you know what I'm saying? Like she came
Mhm.
out really, really, really strong in the beginning as like a potential comp beast. I don't know. I don't know what this looks like competition wise either now that Hunter's gone.
I also think that's a really important thing to think about is, like, what competition, like, who could potentially be winning immunity
Immunities.
next week,
Hmm.
so it'll be
What are your
interesting.
thoughts? Who are you worried about, and who do you think is gold?
Um, really, I am worried about Tiffany. I don't think Tiffany's in a safe spot. I think if she can get out of this spot this week, she'll be in a better position. But I think right now the heat is really on her. Um, it's not that I think she's necessarily socially at the bottom either. Like, I think it's just because if a move needs to be made, they're gonna have to make a move at some point, and I think it just could be that time. Charlie and Maria are running things. At this point, I see them going to the final 4 together, but, like, first of all, one of them would have to win the final, immunity challenge in order to decide if they could take one another to the finale. But even if one of them did, I don't even know if they necessarily would, because I think they
Mm,
are smart enough to understand that they've gotten this far with this person and now it is time to cut it loose. There is
yeah.
no point to take an ally, in my opinion, at this juncture where we're working on Survivor. I mean, unless there are some social situations, but like for the large part, cutting ties in that moment kind of almost needs to be done if you're working with somebody who has an equal chance at beating you. We've seen people make that mistake multiple times in the past. So, um,
I have a question for you.
yeah.
Do you think Kenzie Do you think Kenzie pulled the turn on Tiffany shot too soon?
I don't know how to if I can answer that, yes or no. What I can say is I don't think the circumstance was correct. I think she tried, and I think her read wasn't terrible on it either. I think it's just she knew she needed to make a move, decided this was the time because things were chaotic, and she thought this was the time to have the leverage. And I think she made, in general, a really good judgment. The only problem is the people that she went to with the plan that she has, it just wasn't right timing because Maria is already desperate to have her she has been so desperate to be the person to take out Tiffany because she sees that as one of the biggest power plays you can have in this game. And so like it's not that she doesn't agree with Kenzie that she wants Tiffany gone, but also if somebody's going to be trying to take these moves from her, if Maria has the social leverage, she's going to use it against uh Kenzie. The only thing is she had much more social leverage in the past than she does now because Kenzie's integrated herself really well with someone like Ben. If she's smart enough, and I know she is, to play with two people who are at the bottom, like Liz and Venus, I mean, she can have plenty of power and leverage. So I feel like we're almost going to see a clash between those titans at
Yeah.
some point. So I
Yeah, I
don't know.
agree. Ooh,
What an
it's such a
episode.
great season. What an episode. And what an episode of the podcast,
I
because I feel like this is a
know.
really great
It's a really good
episode.
one.
Yeah.
But that does wrap up this episode of Wicked Unscripted. So if you like what you hear, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast and download. We're also regularly posting updates on our TikTok accounts, so make sure you follow us at It's Abigail Adams, Sarah Talks Big Brother, Wicked
And
Unscripted.
engage with our YouTube channel. Pretty, please. Subscribe, like, all the things. Leave us comments because, who knows? By this time next year, it might be all we have.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. But we don't want to have to talk about the TikTok ban on this. I'll go off.
Soon. No, but I'm going to promote the shit out of our YouTube because I figure we start now, we might get to where
we can make some monies. But anyways, if you want to ask us a question, share your thoughts, or leave us a tip, email the podcast at wickedunscriptedpod, P-O-D, at gmail.com for more. That is wickedunscriptedpod, P-O-D, at gmail.com for more. We are always looking for fresh and diverse voices to join the conversation. And with that, we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.